As you go around your everyday life, you probably have a sense that you act freely. When you wake up in the morning, you have a choice between, say, getting a cup of coffee or getting a cup of tea. And you might feel that there's nothing determining that you go one way or the other. It's ultimately up to you whether you choose coffee or tea to drink to get your day started. Now, let's assume that you actually chose coffee. Well, if you acted freely when you chose coffee, then that assumes that your choice wasn't necessitated by anything outside of your control. But hold up, my philosophical friend, it is still possible, given physics, that we live in a deterministic universe. If that's the case, then it was in some sense determined causally that you would actually drink coffee as opposed to tea. Therefore, it seems like you didn't act freely. You weren't free to do otherwise other than choose the coffee. That is, you weren't free to choose the tea, and when you chose the coffee, you didn't freely do it. Now, this has a further implication because many people think that if you're going to be morally responsible for doing something, then you must have freely done that thing. If it wasn't sort of ultimately up to you to do the thing, then you aren't morally responsible for doing it. Now, when we talk about choosing between coffee and tea, that's sort of a benign choice. But imagine you're deciding whether to tell a friend the truth or lie to a friend. Keep a promise you made or break a promise. What do you do then? If you break the promise, are you morally responsible and blameworthy for doing so? Well, if you didn't freely do it, that is, break the promise, then there's a sense in which you're not morally responsible or blameworthy for breaking it. So this brings up the importance of considering whether we actually have free will and whether free will is compatible with causal determinism. That is, the idea that given the remote past, a time in the remote past plus the laws of nature, everything was causally determined to play out as it did, including your thoughts and how you actually chose and the actions that you took. Now, you might say, wait a minute, is this just some stodgy elbow patch wearing philosophy debate that just occurs in a seminar room and the halls of academia in some ivory tower? No, this debate concerning free will has real world implications. It has implications for your life. Why? Well, that's a good question. In this video, you're going to learn why. Welcome to the Philosophical Life. If this is your first time here, welcome to a place where you can learn philosophy and think critically about life's big questions like, do we possess free will? If you want to learn more about free will, but you don't know where to start or you're rusty and want to get back in the game, so to speak, then I created a step-by-step guide for you that takes you on what to watch, what to read, and it breaks it all down into manageable chunks. So go ahead and download your free guide, that is the 16-day free will learning challenge, at thephilosophicallife.com/free will challenge. And the link is in the description below as well. Now, as I mentioned before, whether we have free will or not has broader appeal than just some sort of ivory tower, tucked away, academic, stodgy debate. Here's a great quote that illustrates that point. Free will matters. It is this fact that explains why so many people are drawn to it. Many philosophers believe that we deserve to be praised, blamed, or punished only if we have free will. The legitimacy of our criminal justice system might therefore depend, in part, whether we are free. It is also plausible to think that other great goods depend in part on free will. Deliberation, love, friendship, our conception of ourselves as rational agents, pride in our achievements, and shame or guilt in our failings might all stand or fall with free will. The connections between free will and these goods are intuitively grasped by nearly everyone. For that reason, free will debates are of enormous interest to people outside philosophy, including scientists and the general public. Now, that is a lot riding on whether we possess free will or not. Our criminal justice system, important things like deliberation, love, and friendship. And you might say, well, wait, why is that? The The quote said that it was just intuitively obvious. Well, it's not obvious to me. Well, think about it. If you have a friend that only does good things for you because they were determined to do those good things by forces outside their control. An example of this might be someone who coerces your friend into, say, throwing a birthday party for you. And they do that using a threat. Say, you're going to do this nice thing for your friend, otherwise, there'll be major consequences for you and your friend. It's kind of a weird situation, but you can see, like, if someone was compelled to do something against their will, like a friendly act or like an act of love, then there would be a sense in which that act or the thing that came out of it, that is the increase in friendship or love, would be cheapened and in fact called into question altogether, because the person wasn't freely doing the things you thought they were doing that was making or adding to your friendship and making them look praiseworthy for what they were doing and therefore strengthening your bond. So if people don't act freely, things like friendship and love all come into question. So free will matters, in short, because moral responsibility matters. And not only that, but free will undergirds or supports many of the cherished relationships, institutions, and realities that exist in our world, such as the possibility of having love or being in a friendship, and it not just all being a sham because no one is freely doing anything. If you got something out of this video, consider hitting the like button. Feel free to share with a philosophical friend. Also, I highly recommend getting that free 16-day Free Will Learning Challenge guide. I'll walk you step by step through learning the basics so that in no time you can go from no knowledge to really grasping the basics of free will. Until next time, keep on learning philosophy and thinking critically about life's big questions. That is, keep living the philosophical life.